Good morning, Year 3 and 4, or should I say detectives. This is your learning journey lesson for Monday the 1st of February AM, and we are about to become detectives. Before we start being a detective, we need to remember our gateway. Pause the video now. Can you remember the gateway that we introduced last week? Yes, well done, explorers. So we need to follow my passions and seek challenges in order to aspire to be the very best version of myself. So we need to be thinking, what challenge can we find? How are you going to challenge yourself? So this week, someone needs our help. What skills do we need to be a good detective? Are you ready to challenge yourself to be a detective? So pause the video now, have a think about how you would answer both those questions. What skills do you need to be a good detective? And are you ready to challenge yourself to be a detective? So the first thing that I would like you to do, on a brand new page, now most of you I know now have learning journeys, so this is going to be the very first page that we have in our learning journey. So date and title at the top, please. If you don't have a learning journey yet, don't worry, just write it in the lined book that we gave you in your pack. So the date and title. Pause the video now so that you can copy this down correctly. Learning objective. How can I challenge myself to solve a possible crime? Well done. So the first thing we are going to do, on some lines underneath your date and title, I would like you to write the question out again, and we are going to unpick it. Just like the start of any learning journey, we need to unpick to find out what this is asking us to do. So let's think about the first word, how. How can I challenge myself to solve a possible crime? So how? Do I need to learn new skills? Do I need to write it up? Do I need to record it? How am I going to challenge myself? Are you going to push yourself? Are you going to show determination? Are you going to stretch your thinking? So let's think about adding to this to unpick it. If you want to pause the video now and have a go at unpicking it yourself and then come back to how I've unpicked it, that would be really great. If not, follow me along now. So well done if you came up with something similar to me for how. So how are you going to do it? I'm going to do it by showing determination and showing perseverance. Let's look at I. So who is responsible for challenging yourself this week? Yes, it is your job. It's my responsibility. You could put something like me or my responsibility, whatever you would like to put off that I. It's so that you're taking ownership of your challenge this week. So challenge. What challenge could you face? Could it be learning a new skill? Could it be making a skill even better? Now, skills can be writing skills, but they can also be reading and listening skills too. So your challenge this week might come through practicing a skill you already have or learning a new skill. Now, let's think about how detectives and how police officers solve something. How would they solve something? Think about how you would solve anything. So here are some ideas. In order to solve, we need to investigate, unpick evidence, look at the events, and come to a conclusion. So in which order are we going to do these things to help us solve a possible crime? So the word possible here is quite important. Do we know it's actually a crime yet? What are you going to put off the word possible? Pause the video now and try and unpick that yourself. So you might have put something along the lines of mine. Is it actually a crime? We don't know yet, so it's a possible crime. Someone has reported a crime, but we don't know whether it's a crime yet. We haven't looked at the evidence. So let's look at crime. What is the definition of crime? What are you going to put off this bit here? Pause the video now and try and unpick this last word. Solve a possible crime. What crimes do you know of? What's called a crime? What's the definition of a crime? So here are some examples. So crime, someone breaking the law or the rules. You can have burglary, where people steal things. Assault, where people hurt each other. Arson, where they're being really, really silly with fire. And then we have kidnap, when someone takes a pet or someone that doesn't belong to them. So these are just examples. Obviously, we are just talking hypothetically about crime, and we know that these things mentioned are against the law and against the rules. So what else could you find to unpick that question? Pause the video now if you need some more time to unpick this so that you're sure of what we're doing this week. So, now that we've unpicked our question, we need to have a look at how to be a good detective. So, underneath where you've just unpicked the question, we are going to unpick how to be a good detective. Now, this is the first thing that I would like you to do. This is the second thing that I would like you to do in your book. And I'm going to give you some guidance, but then I would like you to have a go at unpicking how to be a good detective. You can use Google to help you research it. So pause the video now if you want to start making this mind map up. If you need a brand new page, then feel free to do so. Remember, we have some skills of note taking that we can use. We have bullet points. We have a key where we can use abbreviations. You can use pictures to help you. I want to see a really decorative mind map. So here's some help too. We have our school values that we can plug into as well. So you could have one for each. In order to be a good detective, you need to respect other people. You need to have the courage to try and solve a crime. You need to have tenacity, so your own thought, coming to your own conclusions. Curiosity, you need to have the curiosity to explore and find the answers. But then you also need to have responsibility and make sure that you're following the rules too. And sometimes, most of the time, hope is a good thing too, because you will hope for a good outcome. So if you can't think of anything else and you can't research on Google, then why don't you just unpick our 6 values? If you want to challenge yourself this morning, and I can think of lots of children that would need to challenge themselves this morning, why don't you have a look at how to be a good detective online? Make sure when you're using Google and you're searching something, if something doesn't look right, please ask a grown-up for help. Grown-ups, if you're listening too, it might be a good idea just to check what results and searches come up. I have done this myself, and the searches that came up on our school browser were absolutely fine, but it may be different for at home. Enjoy. I cannot wait to see your mind maps later today when you post them. So unpicking the question and then searching how to be a good detective. Again, if you don't want to search how to be a good detective, then you can simply unpick our 6 values from school.